This week in SciShow news, we're starting with the most important news, which is the end of the SciShow calendar feud. 2 months ago, we launched a selection of Complexly calendars. There's a SciShow calendar, which is themed around the digits of pi, and a moon-themed SciShow space calendar, among others that you can still buy today at complexlycalendars.com. But to add some stakes to our sales, SciShow's been in a little friendly competition with SciShow Space to see who can sell more calendars.
And of course, SciShow Space won, so we're taking over the news this week. Why don't you leave this to the pros, buddy? If you'd like a little optimistic news this week, here are some stories that might get you moving and shaking. Up first, 9 people with severe or complete paralysis are walking again after electrical stimulation treatment. The study they participated in was published this week in the journal Nature and featured a surprising finding. It turns out that some important neurons involved in regaining the ability to walk aren't the same as the ones used to walk before paralysis. The participants were enrolled in a clinical trial to test the effectiveness and safety of epidural electrical stimulation, also known as EES. This technology involves surgically implanting a so-called paddle right against the spinal cord about midway up the back. Once inserted, the paddle delivers electrical stimulation directly to the spine. While case studies of 1 or 2 participants have tested this treatment before, this clinical trial aimed to show that it can be a good option for a broad group of people with paralysis looking to regain movement. 6 of the 9 trial participants had some feeling in their legs, while 3 had no sensation or movement in their legs. But following the surgery and initial EES stimulation, they all regained or improved the ability to walk. While they did have a sort of robotic exoskeleton that helped support their body weight, this is still pretty incredible. The participants then underwent 5 months of rehab, which involved hours-long sessions with physical therapists 4 to 5 days a week. After 5 months, most participants could rely on a walker rather than the robotic exoskeleton to walk. And 4 of the 6 participants with partial paralysis before the procedure improved their lower limb mobility to the point where they were able to walk even when there wasn't electrical stimulation taking place. This suggests that EES was actually building connections in the spinal cord. So the researchers measured activity in the neurons of the spinal cord to see what was going on. But to their surprise, the neurons in the lower lumbar section of the spine that are usually involved in walking showed less activity after EES, not more. That suggested that EES was somehow singling out and activating neurons that are specifically involved in walking after injury. To figure out which neurons were involved, the researchers performed EES on mice with spinal injuries. The mice also regained the ability to walk, could also still walk after EES was turned off, and also showed less activity in the lumbar spinal cord during walking after EES. With all that in mind, the researchers developed an atlas of all the cells in the lumbar spine of the mice, measuring how EES changed their molecular makeup. And they found a specific type of neuron that wasn't involved in walking before injury, but that was essential to walking after it. Interestingly, these neurons were important post-injury regardless of whether EES was used or not. Mice that underwent rehab without EES often recovered some walking ability, but they didn't if these particular neurons were inactivated. While this part of the work was just in mice, it gives us a decent guess at the neurons that are involved in human recovery too. And it's exciting to be able to pinpoint the exact neurons that are responsible for something like this, since it may help us understand what very specific types of cells are doing in all kinds of spinal cord injuries. This study is also the first to show that EES can help lots of people with incomplete spinal cord paralysis, even if the nature and extent of their injuries vary. This opens the door for a lot of people with spinal cord injuries to contemplate more freedom of movement, with or without assistive devices in the future. And that calls for a dance party, don't you think? In a study published this week in the journal Current Biology, researchers looked into what makes us dancy, and they found that super low bass frequencies can make us dance more. To be exact, about 12% more. Now, while music is often mysterious, the human tendency to drop it to a good baseline is not in question. Studies have shown that music with more low-frequency sound makes us want to move. But it's not something that's really been studied in the wild. You know, like at a crowded dance floor at an EDM concert. The researchers behind this study have a performance space / lab that's set up with cool sound equipment so that it can replicate all kinds of concert environments. And they obtained informed consent from 62 people attending a concert for the Canadian techno and EDM duo Orphix there in that space to wear special headbands that measure movement. Over the course of the 55-minute set, the researchers played really low bass frequencies on and off in 2.5-minute intervals. Reports from the concert goers and a later study in the lab suggested that these frequencies were too low to be heard at a conscious level. And while the concert goers reported getting a nice tingly feeling from all the bass, they didn't report noticing it more than any other concert. But even though the sound wasn't noticeable, the researchers noticed that it made them dance harder, because during that time, their headbands moved about 12% more. What's cool is that this means low sounds make us dancier even when we don't realize we're hearing them. The researchers think it's likely that the vestibular system in our inner ear is picking up on these frequencies, which might lend support to the theory that our vestibular system causes us to want to move to music in the first place. That's what the researchers think anyway, though this study doesn't confirm it. But in the meantime, the band thought it was pretty cool. And it's kind of awesome to realize all the amazing things that just a little bit of stimulation to our nervous systems can do. Thanks for watching this SciShow news video. Wherever you get your news, it's important that the facts are right. And it's really easy to accidentally get them wrong by doing things like misattributing a quote to the wrong person. That's what happened to Sharon Begley, a reporter whose quote was so powerful that people thought it came from famous astronomer Carl Sagan. In honor of accurate reporting and this incredible quote, we made a poster with the quote and its true author's name. You can find it at dftba.com/scishow, where you can also find other new decorations to fill your home with science. And if you'd like more things on your wall, we have a pin board that you could pin the poster to if you want. But it's a pretty cool design of the solar system, so it's also just a great place for pin collections, like the SciShow Space Pins of the Month. Oh, also, we have a beautiful new sticker. And who doesn't love stickers? And the holidays are coming up. Check it all out at dftba.com/scishow, and you can still buy the space calendar.
Or our SciShow Pi calendar at
complexlycalendars.com.